Hello, everyone, and welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 151. Andrew Eisen here, along with Zachary Knight. Hello, Zachary.
Hello, Andrew. So it's like I've just noticed this, but now that I think about it, you do this all the time. When you point to yourself, you always point to your eyes. It's Andrew Eisen, and it's just something that I just
Maybe
picked up on. So
maybe I should expand on that and be like, I then. It's a subconscious way to teach people how to pronounce my name. Because Eisen does not make any phonetic sense in English. The EI makes 3 different phonic sounds in this language. None of them are I. Makes perfect sense in German, but in English, yeah, a lot of folks have difficulty pronouncing it. So you get like Eisen, Eisen. Some people see the I as an L, and I've got Elson before. A lot of times, I'll tell people, yeah, it's like Eisenhower, just without the Hauer, and they're, oh, okay.
Yeah, I once had somebody write my name as Zach Arg. I got a piece of mail addressed to that once. That was a long time ago. I think they just, because my name, my writing isn't as clear and pretty as it could be, so maybe they just mistook my sloppy Y for a G or something. I don't know.
Hello, Dan. Hello, Snake. Good to have you here. How do you sign your name? Do you have a fancy flowery signature, or how do you write your name when you sign? Like Jack?
It is a quick and sloppy signature. You can make out the Z and maybe the K and the T if you're really paying attention, but yeah, it's just but yeah, I have a I don't even write my whole name out when I sign. It's just it's Z followed by a couple of squigglies and a loop that slashes up and makes the upper bar of the K, and then more squigglies, and then a slash and a couple of dots or something like that.
My signature is literally just my full Andrew Eisen in cursive, just Andrew Eisen. It's really boring.
I grew up hating cursive, and so my signature shows it.
My mom actually has probably one of the coolest signatures. So her name's Phyllis, and it was Eisen. It's not right now, but back when it was Phyllis Eisen, she would do a vertical slash for a P. So she'd draw a slash, and then she'd have a loop for the P, and then go back around, and then Eisen underneath. It's just a really, if she were like famous or something, that would be just an iconic signature. It's really neat looking. Her name's Phyllis McGraw now, but her signature hasn't changed much. It's still the big P McGraw. And I think that gave my sister a complex because she always wanted to come up with a way to have as cool a signature too. But one of her stumbling blocks is she just didn't think her name was that cool, Kelly Eisen. And one of the things she did was she, at some point, changed the spelling of Kelly, which was Kelly, and now it's Keleigh, Kelly. I'd have to actually ask her what her signature looks, if she's ever settled on an actual flourish-infused signature. But I haven't seen it in a while. But yeah, I don't bother. My handwriting is so bad that just kind of writing my name out looks like I'm doing something fancy and weird. It's like, no, that's just bad, poor penmanship is what that is.
Yeah. See, I started out when I was a teenager. I started out with my signature, writing out my full name, Zachary Knight, and like I said, I hate cursive, and I eventually just, I got to the point where it's like, I hate writing my whole name out. I hate this cursive crap. And so I just it just quickly evolved into what it is today. It's not as bad as some signatures out there. Like you see Donald Trump's signature a lot, and it's just like I'm just like,
It
okay.
reminds me of almost an EKG.
Yeah. It's just a bunch of peaks and valleys, and it's
really weird. It's remarkably consistent, though.
yes, it is.
Chaos says at least your last name doesn't have 11 letters. That's true. My last name is only 5 letters, so it doesn't. Andrew is 6. Eisen, 11 letters is my full first and last name. I don't bother.
I knew if even if my last name were 11 letters, it would probably just end up being a bunch of gobbledygook.
I had a friend in high school named Caroline Goralchek, which is actually, if you try to write that out, a lot longer than it sounds, and it sounds fairly long. You try writing, you're like Caroline Goralchek. Writing. What was terrible is back in the latter half of the 90s when I was in high school, we had to do those Scantron bubble sheets. Imagine filling out Caroline Goralchek on the bubble sheet, which had several vertical columns of all the letters. C-A-R-O-L-I, and oh god, and she was, I believe, the scan sheets were 2 letters short for her full name all the time. She could not fit her full name on a scan.
This is these names and everything can be quite annoying, and it's and what's really annoying is when like online name fields won't let you use common punctuation that are in people's names, like accent marks or hyphens, things like that you would see. It's like, no, you can only use letters, and it's like, but my name has a hyphen in it. Not my name specifically, but that was always one of those things that bugged me when developing forms was, why can't we let people use their hyphens in their name? It's like, but it's a text only field. It's like, well, a hyphen is part of people's names.
It's funny. A dude I work with, one of the developers I work with, his last name is Grant Smith, and for some reason, I was looking him up in the employee program or something, and I saw that or maybe email, and I noticed his name was spelled Grant Smith, but with a capital S in the middle. I walked over to him. I said, "Hey, I think they punctuate or capitalized your name wrong, because they're spelling it like 2 words, 2 names jammed together." And he goes, "Yeah, that's what it is." Like, it's, oh, so your name is Grant Smith? And he goes, yeah. And because I got married, so instead of doing the hyphen thing, we just jammed our names together. I went, I did not know that. Yeah. Suzanne in the chat is pointing out that a lot of whose last name here is Christ, or Christ. I don't know. Suzanne, is it Christ or Christ? I bet if it's Christ, you get Christ all the time. Apparently, she's saying that people don't think her name is real. It's like, what's your name? Suzanne Christ. Okay, what's your real name? Sigh.
Yeah. Well, I had a friend who, the common thing, like if a married couple are going to combine their names, the Christmas. Yeah. So it's a lower short I sound. Okay, but yeah, the common thing for people to do when they just combine their names when they're married is just to hyphenate it, but I had a friend whose parents did the combined last name, but they didn't hyphenate it. They just had a space there. So his last name was Jones Coble, and but everybody thought that the Jones was a middle name, and he always had to correct people. It's like, no, Jones Coble is my last name. And but yeah, that's interesting when people do that kind of break the break with tradition when they do stuff like that. But yeah, it can cause all kinds of headaches. But I think recently there was a kind of a, I don't really want to call it a stink or anything or a controversy, but out of Japan they had, there was, I forget exactly the situation, but it was just a couple of weeks ago where the Japanese members of this organization or whatever they were, said that no, we want the family name first on all of our plaques, and it's like when you display our name and that kind of stuff. But everybody, the people who are running the show, kept putting their family names second instead of first because, and yeah, and that kind of stuff I can understand, because putting the family name first is a very common thing in Asian cultures, because the family is the important part, and then their given name is what differentiates them from the family, but the family is the key part of their name. So, but
which is funny for an American like me, because I listen to the original language all the time. So sometimes I get confused and I don't know which one the family name or the given name is, because I'll hear it both. The advertisements in American will flip the name, even though the people in the game say their names the other way. So I'll play the Yakuza games and I'll hear Kiryu Kazuma all the time, and then someone goes Kazuma Kiryu, and I'm like, and so you say, okay, Andrew, the protagonist of Yakuza, what is his first name?
See, and that's where things get tricky, because their first name in Japanese is the family name, and because that comes first, and it's you gotta get it straight. So, family name, given name, use those. But here in the U.S. it's first name, last name, and middle name or middle names sometimes.
All right, let us get to our topics, and since Icy Lady wants to talk Stadia, let's
talk Stadia then.
So you had some interesting stories, and one I thought was really interesting is we found out the pricing schemes a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
We found so it's a subscription service, and it costs like $10 a month or something like that. But what we found out later was the vast majority of the games you're going to be paying full price for. So it would kind of like imagine if you had Netflix, which is a streaming service which gives you access to hundreds of movies on demand, and you pay $10-12 a month for it. Now imagine you pay $10-12 a month for a rotating selection of movies that come and go at the whim of Netflix. You never know what's going to be on there. You never know how long it's going to be on there. Is your favorite movie on there? It might be, and if it is, it might not stay on there. And if it leaves, it may never come back. But you're paying $12 a month for the service, so it's just what's available. Now imagine you paid $12 a month for this service, but you also had to pay $15 for, or let's call it like movie ticket prices. $15 or $10, depending on where you live, to watch every single movie on Netflix. So you're paying $10 a month plus $10 or $15 per movie you watch, and you don't own the films that you're paying for on the service that you're paying for. Once they're gone, you never get to watch them again. That's what Google Stadia is looking like at this point. You're paying a subscription fee for a service to buy video games that you don't own.
Yeah.
That's a tough ask, and the people selling Stadia, Google, will say, well, what you're paying for is the convenience to play these games on your phone or on your TV or computer or wherever you want.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But it seems like one of the articles you forwarded me, who said that? Phil Harrison was talking to Eurogamer, and he said that developers and publishers and players aren't ready for a subscription-only platform. So they're doing both? Now, I could kind of understand the developers and publishers aren't ready to commit to putting their titles on a subscription-only service. That would make sense, but factoring players into it? Well, you see, you don't want to just give us $10 a month. You want to give us $10 a month and more for each game, don't you?
Yeah.
No, Phil. No,
Yeah,
we
and
don't.
yeah, and this is one of the issues too. If you look at Steam, Steam is a very successful service, but can you imagine if at the beginning of Steam, Valve said, "Oh, you got to pay us $10 a month in order to shop on our store," and if at any point you stopped paying us money, that $10 a month, you would lose access to all the games you purchased through our store, which is kind of, it's technically what the PlayStation Play Plus or whatever they call it, the Xbox Live. I forget what the Xbox service is called,
PlayStation
but
Now, I think,
oh please,
and Xbox something. Yeah.
yeah, I forget, but yeah, the fact that you lose access to everything that you purchase if you ever stop paying, and that's the thing. Oh, games with gold. That's
Well,
Xbox things. Thank you.
that's
Everybody else.
their subscription, their premium Games
Yeah, that's
Pass.
their,
Thank you. That's what we were trying to. That's what we were thinking
yeah.
of.
But these services, you pay however much money a month, and you get certain games to play as long as you're paying the fee. But once you stop paying the fee, the games are no longer available. You can't play them anymore because they're tied to that payment. As far as I know, it's like if you start up paying again, you'll be able to play all the games that you had previously downloaded. But whenever you're not playing, you don't get them, which is basically what's going to happen with Stadia. Except with Stadia, you don't have a backup of physical games or digital purchases that you've made that you can still play at any time.
You don't even have a
Which,
backup of your saves. You have
mhm.
nothing.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
and but I don't understand why they think, well, like you said, developers and publishers, yeah, I can understand why they're not ready to go uh, only, but I could see a size number of gamers willing to do this. Whether it's a sustainable portion of gamers is another question,
well, but
but I could see a fairly substantial number of people who are willing to go the Netflix model, and especially if the selection of games is good enough, and because that's what with Netflix. Hulu, Pandora, Spotify, these kind of services, they're subscription services, but they give you access to everything on their services when you pay for it. But yeah, this one, with the fact that you have to buy some games, I don't even know what the percentage of games that are available just through the subscription versus games you have to pay extra for is. And if it's anything more than like 80-20, 80% with the subscription, 20% you have to pay extra, I think that's going to be a big negative in their court.
and to be clear, you are paying for the ability to stream your games anywhere on any device, ostensibly. But as Icy Lady Gamer Extraordinaire pointed out earlier in our chat, internet kind of sucks in a lot of places. So
Yeah,
who knows if you would even be able to stream your games, let alone in sufficient quality.
yeah, because the U.S. has really terrible broadband, and and that mostly comes down to the fact that the broadband companies have purchased regulation and stuff that prevents new competition from entering the market that they're already in.
From municipal or other businesses.
Yeah, and that was
Hell,
one of the things.
fiber has been stalled for years because of stuff like this.
Well, fiber has been stalled for years because the companies that actually have the infrastructure in place to install it just don't want to do it because it costs money. And it's like, well, people are already paying us for our crappy copper lines. Why do we want
Yeah,
to
why should we take the time to install all this fiber cable crap when people will use what we're giving them now because they have no choice?
Yeah.
So here's the full quote, and this is so. Says Phil Harrison to Eurogamer, the industry is in transition. Not every developer and publisher is ready to move to subscription yet. Frankly, not every gamer is ready to move to subscription yet. So we wanted to give gamers a choice so they could engage in the games they wanted in the way they wanted, and in all cases without the very high upfront cost of buying a sophisticated device to put under their TV or on their desk. Yeah, you see, you have a choice. No, Phil, you're telling us we have to pay for the subscription and the games. That's not a choice. Choice implies two different. Now, if it was like you pay for the subscription and you get the games, or the subscription is free and you just have to pay for the games you play, that would be a choice.
Yeah,
this is not a choice.
That would make sense. That would totally make sense if that were the case. But as everything that coming out of Google's mouth is completely against that, because there is that free version where you do have to pay for individual games, but there's also the subscription service, but you have to pay for certain games on top of that, and yeah, that's not a choice. It is
EAs of the world, and they're always talking about the microtransactions and stuff, and they're like, it's a choice. We just want to give players choice,
Yeah.
And like, no, EA, you don't want to give us a choice. You want us to give you money. Which is why when you remove the microtransactions, you have to rebalance the game.
Yeah.
If it was just a choice, just a thing that's there for our convenience, you wouldn't have to rebalance the game. But we gamers know that when you add microtransactions and loot box, you are specifically designing the play mechanics of the game to incentivize us to give you more money through those alternate payment mechanisms, in addition to the $60+ we already plopped down for your game.
Yeah.
Baseline. That's not counting any of the deluxe edition crap or season passes or DLC or online passes. Remember that? Oh, that's what I was talking about last week. I was trying to think of something they renamed because the name, EA just renamed loot boxes to surprise mechanics when they changed the online pass to season pass or something like that. Because online pass was that thing where they're like, son of a gun. With the secondhand market, if you bought a game used, they're like, well, we don't see any of that money. Yeah, because it's a used game. It's so fun. Who was it? It was I think it was Bethesda, Todd Howard or someone from Bethesda, who was in an interview with someone and saying essentially, what he was saying was, we look at the metrics for older games like Fallout 4 and Skyrim, which has been out for 7 or 8 years, and people are still playing these games. And what he said was, and we have, because of the structure of these games, we have no way to interact with the player. But what he is really saying is, I'm really angry that people are still playing Skyrim and Fallout 4 over half a decade later, and we're not seeing any damn money off of that. That pisses me right off. You're transparent, Todd.
Yeah.
We see through that, Todd. And if it wasn't you, Todd, I'm very sorry, but Easily could have been you. I'm pretty sure it was someone at Bethesda.
Yeah, that sounds like a Bethesda thing, and yeah, I'm of the opinion that I still I still don't invest a whole lot of money into the Xbox 360 or the PS3 um, just because of all the DLC, not just DLC, but patches and everything that you have to download. Eventually, those patches are going to go away. Those servers are going to go away, and you're going to be stuck with a disc that has a broken copy of the game on it, and if you can still play it, and but yeah, it's just it's one of those things. Eventually you're going to reach a point where you're going to have to stop playing something, unless unless you just stick with the older stuff. Like people are still playing Skyrim because they can play it because of mods and they like the game. But that's one of the reasons why I focus a lot on retro stuff. But
I mean, imagine if you bought a DVD or Blu-ray of a movie. You drop 15, $20 on a movie, Ghostbusters, and you bring it, you pay $15, you get the disc, you bring it home, you watch it, you enjoy it, life is happy. Then a year later, you're like, you know what? I want to watch Ghostbusters again. So you pop it in your DVD or Blu-ray player and you watch it again. And over the years, it's what's my favorite movie, so I watch it every now and then. And I've watched it several times. And I can just imagine Paramount being really pissed off that they're not seeing any money from my multiple views of Ghostbusters. Imagine if you spent $15 on a disc on a movie, and you could watch it, but every time you rewatched a movie that you bought and own, you had to pay more money to the studio that owns it.
well, that's what they want, and
that's exactly what they want.
Yeah, they and that's one of the things, because we're reaching the point where we've got DVDs, we've got Netflix, and we have Voodoo, and whatever else you do, hoodoo, voodoo, you do, but and yeah, the movie companies, they don't want you to enjoy a film. Like if you want to take your film to your mobile device, they want you to rebuy the film rather than just rip the film off the disc you already own and transfer that video file to your phone. They don't want you doing that, even though you're technically within your legal right to do so, outside of the whole breaking copyright DRM. But yeah, and it's just yeah.
There's a correction for me. Sony owns Ghostbusters, not Paramount. That is true. What my brain was doing is I was trying to think of the production company behind it, and I was thinking of the Columbia lady, and my brain said Paramount lady, and that's why I said Paramount. No, it's Columbia Pictures, which I believe is subsidiary of Sony. So you are right. Thank you for the correction.
But while we're on the topic of things that we don't own, Stadia also clarified on these purchases, when you buy a game on top of the subscription service, they wanted to make clear that even if the publisher pulls the game later on, you still have access to it. So
either they stop supporting it or they lose the license, like if it's a Naruto game or something like that.
Yeah, or the company just says, "Oh, we're not making enough money off of Stadia. We're taking our games off the service."
Go out of business.
Yeah, but
EA buys them and then kills.
Yeah, but basically they said that if you've purchased a game through Stadia, you will still be able to play it, even if the company pulls the game from the services. You just won't be able, new people won't be able to buy the game. And which I think is a good a good thing to let people know, because that's something that really concerns a lot of people, especially after the Telltale's issue, where it's like all of their games just completely disappeared from every service they were on, and people were really concerned that they weren't going to be able to get those games anymore, or get download the stuff that they had already purchased. But yeah, but the thing is, you're also, if Google Stadia itself goes belly up, you're
Exactly.
losing everything.
Yeah.
There is no way of recovering those purchases that you made.
Right. That conceit, which I don't believe in the first place, call me a cynical jackass. It's okay. I am. I don't believe them, one. And two, even if I did, like you just said, that is completely contingent on the Stadia service continuing.
Yeah. Even if Sony goes belly up, you should still be able to play your PS3 games. You just won't be able to download patches and stuff like that you haven't already previously downloaded. Same thing with Microsoft and the 360, and I guess the PS4 and Xbox One too. As far as I can tell, you should be able to still just pop in a game and play it, even if it is the broken day one version of the game without any of the patches and DLC. But with subscription services, no, you won't be able to get anything. If Netflix goes belly up, there's no Netflix to log into and watch movies from. Luckily for us, we're not
paying for the individual.
We're not
movies.
For the individual movies in there. But with Google, you're paying for individual games on top of the subscription service. The subscription service is your access to those games. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta say I'm with Icy Lady here. I don't have a lot of faith in this endeavor.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be
Google Play and Hangouts.
Well, Google Play is still around because that's the mobile phone.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, Google Plus. Yeah, that's completely out of the gone. I haven't even tried. Yeah, Google Plus is gone. Hangouts is pretty much dead.
Hangouts is gone as of, I think, August 1st.
Yeah.
So we need to figure out a different. See, the nice thing about Hangouts is it does this camera switchy thing.
Yeah.
It's completely automated, which is wonderful. So not sure how we're going to do a podcast using like YouTube streaming, but
yeah, I have no idea. We'll have to figure that out.
All right, new topic. So, let's see. Oh, Steam. Yeah. Okay, Valve. Time to talk about it. So the Steam Summer Sale. Oh, darn it. I should have completed the alliteration. I titled this podcast Steam Sale Shenanigans. It should have been Steam Summer Sale Shenanigans. Oh, well. So Steam has their summer sale, which they usually have some type of fun little gimmick to go along with the sale. And this year it's a race. So as you participate, you pick a team, and the more crap you buy, the more points your team gets, and the winning team will win.
Yeah.
And
there's a variety of actions that contribute to it, not just buying stuff. But I can't remember the entire thing.
Right, but essentially, you're all on teams, and you do what you do to get your team to win. And the winning team, a lucky person on that team, will be randomly selected and win a game from their wish list. Yay! Okay, so Valve decided, let's allow people to pick their own teams. Okay, fine. Unless you actually think about that for a couple of minutes, which if you're the company actually putting on this promotion, you probably should think about this for a minute. But we know Valve is very lazy and doesn't like to do anything.
And if you
us.
And before we get to the actual results of that, just thinking about it, the psychology of picking teams and stuff is a very detailed phenomenon. People have done studies about this kind of stuff, and the self-selection bias, all of that stuff is just, it's very clear what would happen. Take Pokemon Go, for instance. You play that and you hit level 5 and you go to a gym and you can pick the team you want to join. Well, you have 3 options, red, blue, and yellow. Well, blue is the center option. And psychologically you're drawn straight to the middle if in a sequence. And so blue ended up being the top choice. More than 50% of Pokemon Go players are blue. Of the rest of the people, most people went to red because the red team was cool, fiery, all that kind of stuff, and so it ended up being like a 50-40-10 split between red and yellow, or blue, red, and yellow, and completely lopsided thing. But yeah, so here Valve is had like what, 5 teams or something like. Yeah, 4 or 5 teams, and let people pick their own team. And guess what happened?
Everyone picked the same team.
Yep. They all picked the corgi.
Yeah, no one saw that coming. First of all, if your choices are rabbit, pig, and cute doggy, most people are going to go for the cute doggy anyway. But even if it were just team 1, team 2, team 3, team 4, we gamers, we organize.
We game the system.
We min max, man. Yeah. so you have your little graph of pig, rabbit, corgi. But that's not the only problem, because Valve was a little vague in its description of this promotion, and the way it described it made it sound like we're just going to pick something from your wish. The winning person gets a random game from their wish list.
Well, they got the wording was they got the top game from their wish list, but nobody understood exactly what that meant. So yeah, and so most gamers.
Gamers will be winners will be awarded their most wished for games throughout the event. So update your wish list.
Yeah, update your wish list, and people took that meaning if you want a specific game, you're going to have to change your wish list to get that specific game.
I better start dumping titles from my wish list.
Yeah, so
because I don't want to, like DLC quest, which costs $1. I would hate to win this thing and then get a game that only costs $1. I want one of these big $50 AAA games if I'm going to get something free, right? So a lot of gamers started, paring down their wish list.
Yeah,
a lot of indie studios are like, "What the hell is going on? Why is everyone removing our game from their wish list?"
Yeah, because game developers get metrics on how often how many wish lists their games are on, how they see that they get a little chart that shows the number wish lists over time, and then they get to the Steam summer sale and their wish list is up, their wish list listings are up here, and then all of a sudden they're down here. And it totally boggled the mind of a lot of game developers, and they had no idea what was going on, and it turned out that because of Valve's terrible wording of this thing, people were just dumping the games that they either games that they thought maybe they would buy later, or just were no longer interested in, or whatever, and going down to just those handful of games that they really, really wanted. And all it turned out, all Valve really meant was you had to go into your wish list, and apparently there's a way of ordering it. So
yeah,
it's
you can rank your wish list.
You can rank
Valve, Valve clarified via blog post that all you have to do, if you win, you will get the game in the number 1 spot. So whichever game you want to win, just move that up to the top. That's it. You don't need to delete anything. Just move one game to the top. And if it's out, I saw one developer say it was funny because our game got removed from a lot of people's lists, And our game's not even out yet, so you couldn't win that game anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just a big crap show from the very beginning, just how Valve handled this. And and I can understand gamifying these kind of things because it is kind of fun,
Oh, sure.
to do this kind of stuff. If and But yeah, if you're going to do it, you got to make things perfectly clear. And honestly, it would have been better to have just randomly assigned all gamers to a team rather than letting them pick a team, because now the winning team has 90% of the players in it, and that kind of dilutes the drawing pool now. So you're even less likely to win now, being with everybody on your team, than if it were evenly split across the board. If all players were evenly split across the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bad move on Valve's part, a bad move on Gamers' part. As cute as corgis are, you should have spread out, because yeah, like I said, the a random selection of gamers win their game, and everybody being on one team is not a good strategy for that. But of course, humans are very bad at statistical analysis.
Yeah.
Just judging by things like the lottery and risk assessment, that kind of stuff. Yeah, you're more likely to die in a car crash than in a terrorist attack, but we treat terrorist attacks like the plague. And the lottery, it's like, people, for some reason, they'll buy dozens upon dozens of tickets for one drawing, and it's like, you would have to buy thousands upon thousands of tickets to better your chances of winning the jackpot. Buying a dozen tickets is statistically not you're statistically not more likely to win than if you just bought one ticket.
Yeah. But
But,
you might win. Because
yeah, you might.
because people do win, so it is possible.
Well, but if you're into that, just one ticket's all you need. You don't win if you don't play,
Exactly.
but don't go broke trying to game the system when it's
True.
completely stacked against you.
If I could buy lottery tickets online, I probably would. Because I know every time the Powerball goes up to some absurdly high number, 600 million or something, the office, buys, collects $5 from everybody,
And they do the office pool, yeah.
and I always put in for that, not because I think we're going to win. And really, I think a lot of times when you're playing the lottery, what you're paying for really is just the fantasy of actually winning, rather than really expecting to win. But I put in really because I know, if I don't put in, they'll all win, and I'll be the only one left at work. Because that's my luck. Like, no, I'm fine. I'm not going to put in my $5, and then they win, and everybody's a millionaire.
Yeah. Well, and then there's always that case. It's like, but who holds on to the tickets? Because technically, the person who holds on to the ticket is the winner. He could just abscond out of state.
Does Diane have the tickets? Yeah, we haven't seen her. She never came back.
Yeah.
Actually, I have heard stories of offices winning big, and I've never heard of someone running off with that. Then again, I don't follow this stuff very very carefully.
Yeah,
like people will ask me celebrity gossip stuff, and I don't know why they do. Maybe they just think my facial expression is funny. Like, did you know so and so is married to this person? I'm like,
who?
Oh, why would I?
Who is married to who? What?
Yeah. Care. I don't know these people personally, so I'm really not interested in who they're dating or married to. I mean, I hope they have happy, fulfilling lives, as I do anyone. But if I don't know you personally, I'm not really interested, So, All right, moving on. Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft are getting together and hanging out and having beers to protest U.S. tariffs against China, which the tariffs are on a lot of different items
Yep.
that we import from China. One of which is video game consoles. And Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo said, "I beg your pardon. That's not going to work, see." And they wrote a very long letter explaining that, look, if it's more expensive to get the video game consoles out of China, that is going to cost our customers more money. And they're not going to be mad at you, they're going to be mad at us. And we don't
Yeah.
want them mad at us. They're mad at us enough as it is, and we don't need any more.
Yeah.
Valve is not part of this letter. They don't care.
Well, yeah, because
They don't make a console. So, well, I mean, they make the VR thing, the Oculus Rift, right? Is that there? No,
no,
it's Divide.
yeah,
Best teams, and they do Steam boxes or something.
yeah. Well, the Steam boxes are dead. They stopped selling those.
Oh, right.
The last piece of hardware I knew they sold, as far as I'm aware, the Steam Links, which is
I was just trying to make fun of Valve some more, and that.
But yeah, they yeah, there's no yeah, these are the big three. You know, Apple and Google are also affected by this because Android phones. I guess the Pixel phone is Google's only phone, but Apple has the iPhone, the iPad, the MacBooks, and all that stuff. Yeah, they're going to be, that's going to hit Apple really hard. But yeah, so these tariffs, they're gonna increase the cost of game consoles if the government doesn't call them off. One of the things that comes to mind for me is Brazil. Yeah. And I think a couple of other Latin American and South American countries have this as well, but they have very, very high taxes, import taxes as well as sales taxes on consumer electronics. And basically,
this is why their games cost $200.
Yeah, games are super expensive. Game consoles are super expensive,
like $1,300-$1,400 or something.
Yeah, it's something absurd. And basically, if you go to Brazil and you want to talk gaming with somebody, you're talking the PS2 with them at the latest, because that's the most modern console they can get at a reasonable consumer price. And 90% of the market is pirated games and used games.
Yeah, you thought that $600 PS3 was a pain in the butt back in 06, 05, 06, whenever that was. Ooh, you should have seen what they cost in Brazil.
Yeah. But yeah, and that's what we're looking at here. We're probably not going to get anything absurd like doubling or tripling the cost of the consoles, but we could end up seeing something like a 10 to 25% increase in the cost of a console. So instead of let's see, the PS3, PS4, what was that? $300 right now.
Right now, it's depending on which model, it's typically $299. Yeah.
Yeah, so $300 that could go up to $375 if these, anywhere between $325 to $375, depending on how the tariffs play out, and that's basically the cost of a game or an extra controller that somebody's not going to be able to buy if they end up wanting to get one of these consoles and it costs too much. But I'm not expecting Trump or anybody in the Trump administration to really pay attention, because it's not their problem, apparently, that consumers are having to pay more here in the U.S.
And they don't understand what tariffs are anyway.
No, they don't. They think that the government of, as far as I can tell, they think that China's
paying
government
us.
is the one that's
We
paying
put a
us.
tariff on your product. That means you pay us to get right. No, no, that's
No,
not what it means at all. It's like, oh well, people like it because the companies will just eat it. No, no, the companies never eat it. They pass it along. It's
yeah,
kind of like saying, oh, we're going to give businesses a tax cut and they'll pass it along to the. No, no, they don't. They give it to themselves.
yeah, it's yeah. Companies are not willing; they're not interested in eating the costs, especially if it's something as dumb as this. They would eat the cost, if it was 1 or 2%. That's something that they're willing to just let go. But 25%, no, they're not eating that at all. That's getting passed on to us, and that's gonna suck.
Yeah.
But hopefully it doesn't reach that point, because they haven't gotten yet to the point where they have to start charging us, charging the end consumer extra.
Yeah,
It,
I mean, and everything is in such flux because our government keeps changing its mind so damn frequently that no one knows what's going to happen. So a lot of times there's just a holding pattern. It's like, okay, you say this, but what are you actually going to do? Because
yeah,
we can't trust you're actually going to do what you say because you keep not doing what you say, in addition to constantly saying several different things and then
yeah,
changing your mind. So we don't know what the hell's going on.
yeah,
So,
and I still hold out a little bit of hope that Congress will finally see the light and censure the president in some way, and actually take back its constitutional authority, because these unilateral Trump tariffs are technically unconstitutional, because Congress is that the House of Representatives
power of
is
the purse, yeah.
all taxes are supposed to originate from.
Hmm.
Yeah, they're the ones who are supposed to create taxes, pass them, get the Senate approval, and then move to the president. But Congress isn't interested in taking that authority back. Same thing with the war powers. They're not interested in taking the power to go to war back from the president, because it's easier to scapegoat the president than to take responsibility for things. Apparently, either that or they just don't care at all, and that's even worse, I think. But yeah, it's ridiculous, and the U.S. is a big mess, and everybody is going to suffer for it. Which is a very pessimistic way of looking at things. But looking at a lot of the Democratic showings over the last couple of weeks with their potential presidential candidates, not getting my hopes up there either, just based on economic viewpoints. So we'll have to see what happens, though. Maybe somebody will change their mind and get nominated.
Well, we'll see. It's early days yet.
Yeah.
So, all right, we've got another. Let's see, which one is it? Oh, hey, look, Nintendo got DMCA happy. Now, okay, so somebody made a game called Mario Royale, which was essentially a couple levels from Super Mario Brothers,
The,
which is kind the original Super Mario Brothers, where Tetris 99 is a bunch of people online playing Tetris at the same time, and you know, best person wins. Kind of like that, only 99 or whatever number it is, people are playing or running through Mario levels at the same time. I think you're competing with other people's ghosts.
yeah, I don't think you can interfere with each other, but yeah, once you die, you're out for that level, I believe.
So it's a online massively multiplayer race to the finish kind of a thing, and people were enjoying it. So Nintendo said, "Hey, stop enjoying our stuff." And so the person behind the game apparently was expecting this because the very next day rebranded it DMCA Royale
Yeah,
with
had new
instead of
sprites and
yeah, and instead of Mario, it's
Some generic dude.
Some generic dude called, oh god, what is his name? Copyright Infringio. So,
Yeah, and
okay.
yeah, and it's hilarious, the way that they pushed this out. But yeah, it was literally the next day or something close to that where they pushed the new patch out, which is just excuse me, a sprite swap of
Yeah.
most of the stuff and a new name on the game, which I thought was very funny. And their patch notes was just a single word,
Yeah.
F word,
Yeah.
which is
But
funny.
you know what? My thought is the person behind this game knew this was going to happen and did this specifically to get attention, and it worked.
It worked,
You know,
yeah.
let me do a blatant Mario thing, and that'll get people's attention, and they'll go, "Oh, Nintendo's not gonna like that." And Nintendo goes, "We're not gonna like what now? That?" And they're like, "Oh, you're right. We don't like that. Stop that." Okay, now it's the thing, but now everyone sees it as playing it as having fun. Success.
Makes you wonder if they're actually going to have much success after this. I don't know. Is the
That's
game
what we should
paid
do.
for? I don't know.
We should just drown this podcast in Nintendo IP branding, just to get a lot of attention, and then immediately take it off as soon as Nintendo complains, and then we
Yeah.
have all the eyeballs.
Yeah, and this Polygon article points to an old game from way back when on Newgrounds called the Super Mario Crossover, and what the game was it you just played through Super Mario Brothers levels using different characters from the NES. So you could play it as Link from
Simon
The
Belmont.
Legend of Zelda, Simon Belmont,
Yeah.
the Contra guys, that kind of stuff.
But what was interesting is the different characters, Link and Mega Man and Simon Belmont and stuff like that, all controlled and played exactly like they did in their own game. So it was really interesting running through a Mario level with Mega Man's Buster and Jump and things like that. Um,
Yeah.
it's really, really fascinating.
Yeah, and eventually the guy who made it decided to do a Kickstarter, but instead went with a title Super Retro Squad and did a generic, his own versions of all of these NES characters. They still retain the spirit and gameplay elements of it. They just took out the visuals that identified them as the original NES characters.
Mhm.
And I believe that specific thing there, that game was successful on Kickstarter. Yeah, he got $53,000 from it, so pretty nice deal. But yeah, it was just this is kind of how things go. If you want to make a knockoff game, be ready for that DMCA notice and be ready to swap out the graphics.
Yeah, I think this person
It was ready.
expecting
Yeah,
and knowingly using this as a promotional tactic.
definitely.
And I'm not, saying shame on you for doing that. That's kind of savvy.
Yeah. And Addicted to
And I'm not
Chaos says,
blaming Nintendo either, because Nintendo is completely within its right to do
yeah.
that. That is Nintendo's IP.
Yeah, well, and as Addicted to Chaos says, it's their stuff. People should know that ripping off someone's IP is going to lead to a cease and desist,
Mhm.
Which is the case in the games industry. There's not a whole lot. I'm trying to think because outside of the games industry, specifically in literature, there's a very strong fan creation, fan fiction.
Fan
Uh,
fiction, there's fan films, which studios are with.
yeah,
There's a threshold that they're okay with, like
yeah.
Paramount. I think this one actually is Paramount. Star Trek, right? That is Paramount, right?
I
Next,
have no. Yeah, I think so. Though.
they actually they put out a list of rules. It's like, all right, if you want to make Trek fan films, you can, but here are the guidelines. Here are the we
Well, I
won't
guess that
do
would be a
you guidelines.
CBS thing, not
Yeah.
specifically a film thing. But yeah, but there's a lot of fan fiction out there, a lot of fan work out there, and in this day and age, companies are trying and creators are trying to figure out how to work within that, how to allow fan communities to thrive. Nintendo's not going to DMCA your fan art if you want to draw Mario or whatever. They're not going to DMCA that. They recognize that as a valuable community outreach thing. It's just for them, it's just the game side of thing. If you want to make a fan game, that's a no to Nintendo. But not everybody's like that either, which is kind of neat. I don't know how many game companies are out there that will allow you to make a fan game, but I'm sure there are some out there that kind of look the other way. They just kind of let it happen and pretend it doesn't exist. But fan fiction, some authors don't like fan fiction and they will try to DMCA it, try to put a stop to it. But a lot of authors are just like, have at it, do what you want. It has nothing to do with what I'm working on. I'm not going to read it because I don't want to have to deal with your creepy slash fic stuff. I don't want to look at that. But yeah, but I guess modding communities are probably the closest thing you're going to get to a fan fiction type thing in video games, because modding seems to be the acceptable form of fan
game, sure,
on the thing.
Remember when Bethesda tried to monetize other people's mods? That went over like a lead balloon.
Which wasn't a bad idea in theory. It was just the execution that really killed it, because basically they wanted to monopolize the modding thing. It's like
we're not doing paid mods. We're just offering mods that you pay for, but they're not paid mods. It's like, oh my god, do you even hear yourself right now?
Yeah. But yeah, hopefully as time goes on and these companies are a little more open to the greater fandom thing, these kind of games like Mario Royale will be a little more welcome. But I think Nintendo's probably going to be one of the last holdouts for no fan games at all. But yeah, a lead balloon will actually fly. I guess if it's thin enough and it has enough helium,
enough helium in it, sure.
Yeah.
But I was thinking more of a piece of rubber filled with lead.
Yeah.
So, okay, I think that is our podcast for this week. Before we go, I would like to brag that I did play the Monster Hunter Iceborne demo, and I did beat the Great Jagras. So, praise me. And for anyone who doesn't know that, that's a joke because that's the beginner quest in the demo. that's kind of like bragging you beat Glass Joe.
Nice.
There's 3 quests. There's the Great Jagras, which is the first monster you fight in the base game, and then there's the Bambaros, which is that big fuzzy moose monster with the giant rack of horns that bulldozes trees and boulders at you. And then there's Tigrex, which is a very angry dragon monster who is just a temper tantrum machine. He's just like, and he runs at you. It's hilarious. Took me a couple tries to beat him because for some reason the quest, they only give you 20 minutes, and the first minute of the quest is talking to your handler saying, welcome to the demo, now here's how you open your map, and you have to go through that every single time. It makes you just not want to play. And then it's like a 2 or 3 minute walk to the to where the Tigrex is, if you know exactly where it is. So by the time I found it the first time, I only had like 7 minutes in the quest left. Then the second time I had him limping back to his cave and I ran out of time. Same with the third time. And then my fourth try, I'm like, you know what? There's a camp closer to where the Tigrex is. So I sit through that stupid, here's how to check your map that you already know because you've played this 5 times. Or 6 counting the first 2 quests. So I sat through that, and then I called for my dragon flappy thing to warp to the other camp. So that saved me 2 minutes, and by gum, I beat the Tigrex in like 17 minutes and 45 seconds. So that
Nice.
actually saved me the 2.5. So I must have been, only a handful of seconds away from best in the Tigrex in my first couple of runs. But yeah, Monster Hunter is fun, and
Awesome.
unless you don't like it.
Well, I've never played it. I would, yeah, I've always been interested, but the lack of local co-op play
Yeah,
just really ruins the idea for me because they really emphasize that online multiplayer aspect of it. Like, yeah, I do that, or I cog through it and play it by myself. But what I really want to do is play with my kids or play with my wife.
yeah,
You know, because I always thought Monster Hunter like 3 try whatever it was on the Wii. I always
yeah,
thought that would be fun. That would be something that maybe my wife would actually enjoy. But then I found out that the local multiplayer is just the arena mode. I'm
yeah,
like, yeah, that's not fun.
yeah. And I'm not sure if you could get a local co-op thing go. You'd have to rework the game because you're swinging the camera around so much that one player would constantly be getting lost. I mean, even if you had player uh, one player playing the palico, the little cat creatures. Um, I'm not sure how you see on the Wii U. It'd be fine. You play with the controller, and the other person gets the tablet, and they watch on the screen. You could do that, but
Yeah,
I'm not sure how you could do it. I guess you could divide the screen in half, do one of those. It's never ideal,
yeah,
but it works. Um, eh,
yeah,
but I hear ya with the I want to play locally with my family, and unfortunately, it's just not that kind of game. It is
yeah.
also it can be kind of an impenetrable game for beginners. It's a game that even with the numerous quality of life improvements introduced in Monster Hunter World, um, it's something that you have to want to get into. You have to try to like this game, and it
Trust
takes
me, it gets good
honestly
10
it
hours in.
yeah, it takes work. Um, and
Uh,
the game actually doesn't even demo very well. Uh, Part of the problem is every time you complete or fail a quest, you're kicked out to the main screen, and you have to go through all the menus to get back into the. It's like I just want to play it again. Stop shunting me out to the beginning, and I don't want to sit through this damn cutscene again. You're like, let me tell you all about the menu, and you're jamming on the A button or X button or whatever button it is on the PlayStation controller, but the text isn't advancing any faster. It's like, no, you want to play this game? You have to listen to this dialogue that we had this actor record. She worked very hard on it, and you will listen to it every single time. It's like, I don't want to.
uh,
But what if Monster Hunter is one of those? If it's for you, boy howdy, it is for you. But
yeah.
I totally get how it's a game that's just not for everybody. So
Yeah.
anyway, hopefully Judgment drops in price soon because I really, really want to pay it, and I'm a stubborn jerk who won't pay $60 for a video game. So, for anyone who doesn't know, that's the recent game from the Ryoga Gotoku Studios who do all the Yakuza games. So, really want to play that, but don't want to pay $60 for a game. So, all right, even if it's you know worth it. So that is our podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us. Let's plug our stuff and get out of here. Andrew Eisen, Eisen is how you spell the last name. Plug it into YouTube and you'll find excellent videos like my new review haiku series where I review movies I see in the form of haiku. I've done Godzilla, King of the Monsters, and Child's Play recently. They're very short videos, as you might expect. 17 syllables doesn't take very long.
No, they don't.
So have fun with those and follow me on Twitter at Andrew Eisen. Zachary, plug away.
All right, you can follow me on Twitter at Easy Night, where I talk about gaming and politics and other things. If you're interested in checking out my game development stuff, check out DK_gaming on Twitter and DivineKnightGaming.com. And if you want to check out the Oklahoma game development scene, check out OK Game Devs on Twitter and OKGameDev.com.
All right. You've been listening to the 151st episode of Molehill Mountain. Hey, thanks for that. We'll see. Actually, I may not be here next week. So, can you do a solo show next week, Zach?
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Maybe we'll
I could
see.
probably do it. Yeah.
I don't. 4th of July weekend, I may be out of town. I'm not terribly sure yet. It's one of those.
Yeah, I'm not sure myself, just because 4th of July and. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah,
Maybe I can pull one off.
We'll keep you abreast of the go or no go status of the show on our Twitter accounts. So another reason to follow us or bookmark our pages if you don't like following. That's fine. All right, we are out of here. Thanks everyone for watching. We will maybe see you next week. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
See ya.